Welcome to Empower Her, the Hope We Need podcast, where we empower women and support their well-being. This space is where we uplift women. We prioritize our well-being and share real conversations to help you thrive. I'm your host, Funmike Keji. I am an HR advisor and mental fitness career coach with over 20 years of HR experience. I support immigrant professional women just like you as they navigate challenging careers, multifaceted lives, and moments of transition, especially during moments of transition. So, whether that looks like for you being laid off at work, whether it looks like for you having to resign because of personal reasons, whether it looks like for you having to come back again into the corporate world or the work environment and you're trying to thrive. Whatever that looks like for you, as an immigrant professional woman, I am here for you. And my coaching expertise would support you in getting your feet firmly back on the ground. And remember, together, we build resilience, we restore your balance, and we unlock confidence for both your work and life in general. So if you're ready to explore new possibilities for your career, connect with me for an insightful perspective. Just click the link in the YouTube description or below this episode to schedule a call and for us to connect. And while we're at it, keep tuning in to Empower Her, the Help We Need podcast, which is your community for growth, encouragement, and ambition. Here, you will find the support that you need for the journey ahead. Because you know what? You truly deserve it. Today, we're diving into the idea of resetting after a tough year. This isn't about starting over. It's about approaching life with new wisdom, clarity, and self-trust. If you face challenges professionally, personally, or both, and realize you can't keep repeating old patterns, this episode is for you. We're not talking titles or achievements. We're talking reflection, adjusting your pace, and learning from the lessons a hard year brings. To enrich our conversation, I'm joined by a remarkable leader, Miss Rosalie Ghostine, with over 28 years of experience in oncology and the specialty therapy area. She's now embracing a significant career transition in Dubai. So, welcome, Rosalie. It's so wonderful to have you here with me today. Not only as a ex-colleague, but as a dear friend. Thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah, how have you been?
Funmike, thank you very much. I've been well, and it really means a lot to me to be here and being on this podcast with you. I've been actually, it's been a tough year of deep reflection and transition. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm learning to embrace the change with grace, and I feel more grounded nowadays and aligned as I move forward. So, thank you again for being on your podcast, Funmike.
Absolutely, and you're welcome. And I'm sure we'll jump into it because a lot of you, maybe our viewers might be saying, what's she talking about? So maybe just to give some context, Rosalie has been a senior professional executive with so much experience, and she's moved out of the corporate world and now she started off a business. So that's what we want to talk about today. And maybe that just brings me to my first question. Like many women, and I'll just be so open and honest, including myself. We hesitate to step into a new year after a tough year, right? And you know, I was just wondering, based off what you've just said, if you could share with us like how it felt to start again, how it felt to change something that you've been so used to and then just drift into another kind of line of work. How has it felt for you just starting after a hard year with so much that stretched you so far?
Well, that's such an important question, Funmike, because picking yourself up doesn't look heroic to others in real life. And for me, it didn't start with confidence at all or clarity.
Mm,
It started with being exhausted and to be honest with myself.
mm,
What that hard year forced me to do was to reconnect with me
mm,
and not the accomplished professional or the resilient woman who always copes, but I connected with the human being who needed rest, space, and permission to pause. So yeah, picking myself up was not about rushing forward. It was about giving myself permission just to slow down, take it easy in the morning, have my chamomile, have my breakfast, grieve what has changed because it's part of the process, and to admit that something old no longer fit in my life. So I stopped asking what's wrong with me. That's
mm.
the first question that I was
Mm-hmm.
asking all the time. I stopped asking that and I started asking, what is this new season in my life trying to teach me? And that shift from self judgment
Mm-hmm.
to self permission was the beginning of my reset in my career.
Yeah, and I can relate a lot, and just to maybe kind of repeat what you've said or kind of summarize it. Living a 9 to 5 job, and I know in your case it was almost like a 9 to 10 p.m., 12 p.m. type of
Exactly.
job that kind of drove momentum for you, gave you a sense of identity, a job where people had to report into you, you had to travel. Sometimes it was really fast paced. And then having to just stop all that and just slow down must have been so difficult, I can imagine. And you used the word, you said, stop blaming myself, if I got that correctly, and just take a step back and think of what could I do differently. And that comes with a lot of courage. And honestly, it kind of sounds so easy the way you say it. Um, but I'm just going to check in with you here because I know it wasn't easy. What was that moment when you realized I can't keep on thinking I need to move with the previous pace? I can't keep on locking myself into that mindset that I need to chase the professional life or the type of thing I was doing previously. I have to just step back and think about the future. Now that things have changed and evolved, what does that mean for me? And what do I want out of life? How did you realize that, okay, Rosalie, it's enough, stop? What do you need to do now? What prompted that?
So I believe it's only after I rested,
Mm,
I started seeing clearly. Because when I was exhausted, I wasn't able to think clearly and I wasn't able to think of the future. I was only thinking about what happened, what is in the past. So only when I gave myself enough rest, there where I started reflecting. And when your body is rested, your brain is rested as well, then you can definitely think forward. And this is the moment where I started reflecting. And it took some time, Fanmike. It's not like
mm,
a matter of 24 hours where the ideas just popped up. It's a time where I felt, okay, this is what I want to do. This was my passion. That's the business I want to open. But do I have the courage to do that? Or do I go back to corporate?
yeah.
So it wasn't an easy decision. It took some time. It took a year to decide. But yeah, it's only when I was rested where the clarity came.
Thank you so much for sharing that and just giving me and the women listening in on you, like, it's a breath of fresh air to just hear from you to say it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay not to get it together. It's okay to have those rocky moments. And it's part of life. We all may experience it at some point or the other, and that's fine. But the ability to kind of grieve the process, if you allow me use that word, and then
True.
stop and say, okay, I'm done now. I need to move forward, is what we're looking up to, based off what you're sharing now and saying, okay, I can lend in, I can lean in from what she said, and I can move on with my life. So you've mentioned quite a bit in terms of your role and having to be able to figure out what next steps looks like. And obviously, you had a lot of experience and you were very senior in the corporate world. And you've talked about not blaming yourself. So, how do you see internal bias showing up for women navigating career changes, especially those that have been successful like you for a long time? How have you been able to adjust around those judgmental thoughts and those things that come into your mind, making you feel like you're inadequate because you're not measuring up to what you were in our heads again, what you used to measure up to before? How have you been able
Very
to
good question.
maneuver around that? Yeah.
Very good question. Actually, this is a real issue, and it's often invisible, this internal bias, even to the women experiencing it. For women like you and I, who've been successful for a long time, internal bias often shows as self imposed pressure.
Hmm.
So we tell ourselves, um, I can't start again at this stage of life. And success here became a double edged sword. On
Hmm.
one hand, it gave me the confidence and the
Yeah.
credibility, but on the other hand, it created this unspoken rule that I must always move forward, never sideways, and never pause. Many women feel they have to protect the identity they've built, as you said, like as a senior executive in a company,
Mm-hmm.
even when it no longer aligns with who they have become.
Hmm.
So, what I've seen and experienced is that this internal bias pushes women to over explain their decisions to others. And this delay change, and they stay in their role, longer than what is needed because the
Hmm.
role doesn't fit anymore. And simply because walking away feels like a failure.
Hmm.
So, that feeling in reality is when you feel you want to walk away, it's not failure, it's wisdom.
Hmm.
So, self development at this stage isn't about proving capability to others. It's
Okay.
about allowing myself to redefine success on my own terms. And this is where my real growth began.
Hmm. Wow. I love, love, love what you've said. You said we have this mindset that we must always move forward, never
Mhm.
sideways, and not pausing. Can you unpack that a bit? What do you mean by sideways? How does that go? I mean, I'm curious. Never sideways. What does sideways, what does that look like?
So, for me, it looked like doing something for the rest of my life, I believe is going to happen, something that I'm passionate about. So, my sideway was actually a passion I had in life. When I was working in corporate,
Mm-hmm.
I always loved, organizing homes. And I used to go to my friends' homes and organize their closets and cabinets and redo the whole house for them. And that's after my job, if my time allowed, or in a weekend where my husband was traveling. So this is something that has been a passion for me. I've always thought about it. Why not open a company that
Mm-hmm.
does that? And I can lead it and I can do something that I enjoy on daily basis. But I never allowed myself to think about it because I was in corporate.
Hmm.
And this bulb or this idea came only after I paused, I rested, and I thought, okay, I can move sideways now. I don't have to go back to corporate or
Hmm.
continue climbing the ladder because I don't think this is what I want for the rest of my life.
Hmm.
So that sideway was actually doing something with something I'm passionate about, something that I've always dreamed about doing, but never thought it would be a business or something that will bring me some kind of income.
Hmm.
I said, why not? And this is my sideways. So for every woman, sideways is going to look different.
Yeah.
But why not to do something that you are actually passionate about? And then try to make it as a business that can, help you continue life without
Mm.
going back to where you don't want to go back.
Absolutely. And like you've rightly said, sideways looks different for everyone. I mean, for some women, they may still want to continue in the corporate world, maybe starting something that is close to that in terms of their experience and the expertise. That could be sideways for them. And for
Mm-hmm.
some people, it could be a passion they can turn into a business idea, and those things really count. And it's not until there is a sudden disruption that you now begin to like think out of the box, because the
Mm-hmm.
previous world of the corporate life doesn't allow you to really think for yourself. You're thinking for the company. You're thinking on
True.
deliverables and how you need to meet timelines. And there's one thing you've said that really catches or makes me draw in. And this, I think, is really important. We talk about this a bit. Women having to explain their decisions to other people. And the fact that I need to explain it to people as to, for example, I can imagine a lot of people like, so what are you doing now? So what are you doing now? So what are you doing now? 2 months after, 3 months after, 6 months, and the pressure is on. And you'd be
Yeah.
like, what am I gonna say? And that just completely sometimes I think brings us to a holding pattern where we feel so frustrated, where we just want to run and hide and like, I don't want people to see me as a failure. How did you handle that?
So I did not feel guilty about it at all because I was exhausted and I was telling people that I'm resting
Hmm.
and that's it. I don't have to justify anything to anyone. That's my life. And I've reached a stage in life where I honestly don't care about being judged by others. So I am resting, I'm taking my time, I'm enjoying my mornings, and I'm enjoying my life. And that's about it. That was the answer.
Beautiful. Redefining success on your own terms, not on
Yes.
other people's terms, on your own terms. And that's the only way you can pick yourself up and do what drives the passion that is already in
Mhm.
you. So thank you so much for just opening up about, your personal challenges and how you've been able to maneuver and overcome them. Okay, so we've talked about resting, resting, resting. When you decided to reset, um, what did you slow down before deciding your next direction?
So the first thing that I needed to slow down was my need, my personality that always needs to immediately fix everything. And for most of my career, momentum, like running, 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 meant value.
Yeah,
Being busy, being needed, being productive. That's how I defined it, that I'm successful.
yeah.
But when I decided to reset, I realized that constantly pushing forward was keeping me from actually hearing what I need,
Hmm,
what my brain needs, what my mental health needs, what my emotions need, and my body needs. So I slow down my pace, but most importantly, I slow down my decision making. So no rushing into decisions.
hmm,
I'm going to take my time. So I stopped rushing to define the next title or role. And instead, I focused on, understanding my energy,
hmm,
understanding my values,
hmm,
and what kind of impact I still want to make without sacrificing my well being. So that pause created space to reflect instead of to react. And in that space, my clarity, as I told you, emerged, not from pressure, but from aligning with myself.
hmm.
And slowing down was not a setback for me at all. It was a strategic reset that helped me move forward with intention rather than just being exhausted.
Beautiful. That's such an important insight. Being able to understand yourself. And, you've said something, and I know for most women, we are high, well, not every one of us has that type of drive, like I always need to fix something. But generally, women want to fix things. We love to be in control. And it's just telling ourselves it's okay. You don't have to fix it.
Mhm.
You don't have to make it perfect because life itself is imperfect. So it's such an important insight that I think our women listening to you can lean in, especially our women who probably are in the professional space, that we don't have to fix everything. There's some things we just have to let it go and things will take its course. So that's really, really, really very helpful. Thank you so much. Now, maybe moving on to my next question in terms of I'm trying to understand what wisdom this transition gave you, something your previous success, your experience in the corporate world could not teach you. Because I think this
So,
is, sorry, I think this is really important that our women kind of hear from you and be able to understand that there is there is goodness even in the change that is happening to you right now.
so I'm going to talk about one thing, resilience. So, this chapter of my life has taught me that resilience is not about enduring more. It's
Mm,
about actually choosing better because we endure, we endure, we endure. And then we were taught that resilience is to get back on our feet very fast and quickly and continue moving forward. No, resilience is about choosing better. So, early in my career, the discipline, the perseverance, the excellence, they were all meaning they were the formula to success.
yeah.
So, yes, those lessons are valuable. They were valuable, but they didn't teach me to listen to myself when something was no longer aligned. So, this transition that I'm in, it gave me what wisdom is. It gave me the wisdom to trust my inner voice,
Mm,
even if it led me to uncertainty. So even with my new company today, I'm not certain this is going to succeed, but I have to live with this uncertainty and listen to my inner voice to continue
mm,
moving forward in this new decision I've taken in my life. So I learned that pausing doesn't mean that I'm losing the momentum,
mm.
and letting go doesn't erase my legacy. It
Beautiful.
actually refines my legacy.
Beautiful.
I also learned that my worth
Love that.
as a human being, as a woman, isn't tied to productivity or position and
Mm,
to titles. So when these things they fall away, who remains? It's who? It's you.
yeah.
And you realize that it is actually humbling where you have reached in life and freeing at the same time. So, as I said, this chapter of my life, it doesn't make me weaker at all. It makes me more grounded, more intentional in what I want to do in life. And this is a kind of strength no title ever gave me.
Well, these are huge lessons that you've just shared with us very briefly. I like it when you say that, as women in the professional world, obviously, sometimes even resilience is part of the values of the organization. Get back on your feet, get back on your feet when something knocks you off. You don't meet a target, you don't get the sales, look for ways, navigate. But at the end of the day, keep on pushing, keep on running, keep on driving. The organizations that we're in today, they don't teach us to stop. They teach us to keep pushing, keep running, because obviously we need to be able to drive sales. We need to meet our targets. And the definition of that is not what is relevant for of resilience, I mean. Is not what is relevant for the change that leaving an organization and starting all over again. The resilience is not the same because everything stops, everything slows down, and then we don't know what to do because we're used to like, what's the next thing, what do I need to do, how do I need to, we're not used to like, you know what, let me start. And I love what you said about um if the job goes away, the identity or the labels or the titles goes away, the job titles goes away, We remain. Um,
Yeah.
we don't go away. Our experience doesn't go away. It's just the
Yeah.
feeling that it has.
The
But
legacy
every,
stays.
sorry, what did you say?
The legacy stays.
The legacy
You know?
stays.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The legacy stays. All the achievements, they don't run away, they don't disappear. All the hard hand things you've done, all the accolades, all the awards, they don't go away. They remain. And then the question is, okay, what do I do with what I have? Because there's something in hand that we have. And thank you so much. That's absolutely a very good insight in terms of redefining what resilience means for us and telling ourselves, because maybe we're no longer in those roles that gave us a sense of purpose, doesn't mean that we diminish. It doesn't mean that we disappear into thin air. It just means that we need to set our targets differently. So now we've talked about business. I mean, you've talked a lot about the business you're doing, and I would assume that's a new chapter for you. How are you approaching this new chapter differently from your previous transitions?
So, yes, this chapter feels very different, for sure, because I'm moving with intention. So, I know where I want to go, I know what I want to do. So, there's no urgency, there's no like this constant running and exhaustion, none of that.
Hmm.
So, I'm doing three things, Funmike. I'm assessing the situation, then I'm engaging, and then I'm embracing. So let me just elaborate a bit. So when I'm assessing, I take an honest look at what no longer works, and not just professionally, I'm talking also emotionally and energetically. So I acknowledge that overcommitting, like we used to do all the time,
Yeah.
tying my worth to productivity, staying in situation out of loyalty rather than alignment, no more of these. I'm letting go of those patterns. Maybe this is very necessary because if anything new is going to grow in my life, I need to stop these.
Hmm.
Then the engagement part comes. Now I'm much more selective about where I invest my time and my energy. And I think a lot of people resonate with that when they are tired and they
Hmm.
decide where the engagement is going to go. So I prioritize the activity that they support my goal
Mm-hmm.
and my mental well-being, whether that's meaningful learning, networking, or simply building routines that project or that can actually help me with my health and clarity. So I don't equate anymore being busy to being effective.
Hmm. Hmm.
And finally, I've embraced flexibility.
Hmm.
So now I'm open to new working styles, smarter cost decisions as well,
Hmm.
and collaborations that make sense for my life, not for my resume. And I'm building a way that's sustainable, value driven as well, of course, and aligned with who I am today. So this time I'm resetting um, without just thinking about chasing success. It's
Mm-hmm.
about actually designing a life and a business that can actually thrive and where I can also thrive in.
Wonderful. So I think three things stand out. You've used the word evaluate. We can say assess.
Yeah.
Evaluate the situation. Okay, this is where I am right now. What is not working for me? What should I stop doing? And then once we identify that, it's also important to take a step back. You've kept using the word pause, pause, pause. What is working? What will work for my situation? What will work for me now? And then you've talked about engage, right? Now that I know what's working, so how do I invest my time in supporting those goals? Whether they're personal goals, you've talked about mental well being, exercise, fitness, getting myself back on track, being able to focus. I think even exercise is all focus. Then you start thinking clearly based off the changes and you trying to resuscitate or thrive and move on with a new way of working. And that's really helpful. to sort of take in based off what you've shared. And another thing is you've said is to now, having decided on that, to now embrace this new change. Stop looking back. You've made a decision now, move forward, adapt the ways of working, whether your work style, whether your habits now, adapt that to the change that you've decided to take. So as I think for us as women, as we listen to you, especially those of us in the corporate world, who maybe we've lost our jobs, who maybe for one reason or the other, we've just had to resign because we had to take care of family, attend to family needs. For some people, it could be there's a there's a child they need to take care of, and they just need to pause. They need to stop the busy life. There's a hailing family member they need to care for, loved ones, whatever reason there is. I think what you've showed us today, or what you've explained to us today through your examples, is being able to move forward, embrace what we have in front of us, and pick ourselves up from there. And even if it's trying to come back into the workspace, right? Again, it doesn't diminish the experiences we have. We just need to
Mm-hmm.
understand what's going to work for us now. So, thank you for sharing these very helpful tips. And I know that our listeners will benefit from just hearing you share that based off your experience as well. So,
Thank you.
as we bring our conversations to kind of a wrap, I'm just thinking, because I think it'd be so helpful for you to share with us what's your advice, hard-earned advice. If there's one hard-earned piece of advice for a woman who's listening in to our podcast today, who is contemplating, how do I move forward now with this new beginning, this change in my life? How do I reset? What would you say to that woman that feels guilty of taking a decision around slowing down and picking herself up again? What would you say to her?
So I would say this: slowing down is not a failure, it's actually a form of leadership, because we are so used to giving, leading people and solving issues. Now we have to tell ourselves there is an issue, I want to solve it, so I'm going to slow down. So that's a decision we've taken for ourselves. And as we know, for all women, guilt often comes from the belief that our value is tied to constant output.
Yeah.
But the truth is, clarity, creativity, sustainable success, they don't come from exhaustion. They come from alignment. So if you know you need a reset, trust that knowing, trust that feeling that you have. Give yourself the permission to pause without needing to justify it to anyone.
Hmm.
Reset is not a quitting. Rest is not quitting.
Hmm.
It's actually recalibrating, if I can put it this way. When you slow down, because you've decided to slow down, so it's done with intention, you don't lose the momentum. You're actually just redirecting your momentum to something different. And that choice may be the most powerful investment you ever make for yourself as a woman.
Absolutely amazing. And thank you so much for sharing this. And this is some of the things I support the women I coach, to help them recalibrate, to help them reset. I mean, for you, it's something that I won't say came easy, but I think you kind of figured your way around it and you were able to evolve. For some women, this may not be as simple as it sounds. This may not be as easy as it seems, and they would need support. And that's where I come in. So, for some of our women listening in on the call, and you're looking for a way out, and you can't even think clearly, you don't even know, there's so many options going through your head at this point in time. You're unsure
Mhm.
of what to do. I invite you, the link is below. Connect with me. Let's have a conversation. Together, we can build that resilience that you need, redefine what that means for you. We can restore the balance. You need to get back on your feet, unlock the confidence that you need for new ways of working. So please feel free to connect, and let's have a redesign of what that looks for you. And Rosalie, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for
Thank you,
taking the
Funmike.
time to connect, to share your experiences, and to just share those wisdom that I think will be really helpful for women on today's call.
Thank you, Funmike, for hosting me, for listening to me, and thank you for being there also for me whenever I need you. So that's amazing. Continue
Absolutely.
doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. And that's why, I just felt like your insights would be helpful for a community of women. Because when women can learn that you've gone through that process yourself, those experiences kind of encourage us. I'm not the only one feeling this way. I'm not the only one stuck with this mindset. I'm not the only one struggling. And it's okay. And the reason we are having this conversation is to support our women out there to say, it's okay. You can start again. You can start afresh. And the courage and boldness for you even coming in to share these insights is commendable. I just want to thank you for your authenticity and just thank you for being here. If you're coming out of a hard year, let our conversation today be your gentle reminder. You're not weak for needing to reset. Rosalia said that. In fact, allowing yourself to pause and recharge is an act of courage. You're not behind in seeking clarity. Sometimes the most transformative growth, and we've seen it from Rosalie's experience, it happens when we slow down. It looks difficult, but when we try and do that, we're able to listen to ourselves more. You're not failing because your pace has changed. Shifting gears is often what helps us move forward with intention and purpose. And sometimes the most powerful reset, it comes from choosing wisdom over speed, honoring our needs, trusting that taking care of ourselves is not only necessary, but it's a brave thing to do, and giving ourselves permission to redefine success on our own terms. It's what makes us flourish. And Rosalie is a testament of everything I just said. If she can do it, so can you. Thank you for joining us on the Help We Need podcast for today. Stay tuned in for more episodes about living your best life. And until next time, stay empowered and remember to empower her.